eat it every day, and that it's even a savior for your health after age 50? Today, I have a truth that may surprise many of you. Just by combining a few common Korean foods with tofu in the wrong way, you could be unknowingly damaging It's truly frightening. Do you still believe that tofu is good for you the more you eat, that you can kidneys every day? What's worrying is that 3 foods that are incompatible with tofu appear almost daily in the Korean diet. Perhaps you thought you were living a healthy life, but you unknowingly ate a dangerous combination for breakfast, lunch, or dinner today. Many Koreans over 50 proudly tell me, "Doctor, I don't eat much meat and mainly eat traditional foods like tofu, kimchi, and vegetables, so I'm healthy. But my test results show that my blood pressure fluctuates, my bad cholesterol is high, and my kidney function is declining, causing protein in my urine and warning signs of kidney stones." What's worrying is that the cause is the wrong way you've been consuming tofu for years. After age 50, your kidneys have been working tirelessly for more than half your life, filtering out salty foods, sugar, drugs, alcohol, and the traditional Korean diet. Yet, many people treat their kidneys as if they're still young, strong, and able to withstand anything. On the other hand, tofu, which should be a soft cushion that relieves stress on the cardiovascular and renal systems, can actually be the final blow to your kidneys if used incorrectly and at the wrong time. The most dangerous thing is that your kidneys don't feel pain or scream. They silently weaken until the day your doctor tells you your kidney function has already declined and will never return to its former state. Only then do many sigh, wishing they'd known sooner. In today's video, I'm not telling you not to eat tofu. Tofu is not your enemy. Rather, if eaten properly, it's one of the best foods for cardiovascular health, weight management, and indirectly protecting the kidneys. It's rare, inexpensive, and easy to prepare. However, if you eat it the wrong way, you could be pushing your already exhausted kidneys even further. In a moment, I'll delve into 3 common misconceptions about tofu among Koreans over 50. These habits, while seemingly healthy, can increase the risk of high blood pressure, kidney stones, and chronic kidney disease. I'll also reveal 3 golden tofu combinations that can help you enjoy a delicious meal while also reducing the burden on your kidneys. At the end of the video, I'll share a sample daily diet for Koreans over 50 who want to enjoy the familiar taste of tofu while maintaining kidney health. Specifically, I'll help you identify the early symptoms that indicate your kidneys are sending distress signals so you can get tested before the disease progresses to a more manageable stage. This isn't just speculation. It's based on actual experience gained through working with numerous patients. If you or a family member is over 50 and wants to maintain healthy kidneys without relying on medical devices, don't miss a single moment of this video. The little knowledge you gain today can guarantee you decades of healthy, free living. Before we begin, please subscribe and like. It will motivate me to share more secrets to living long and healthy, even with expensive medications. Also, please leave a comment telling me where you're watching the video, or enter the number 2 if you're interested in health. I'm curious to know where your health journey begins. So, what foods, when eaten with tofu, are quietly eating away at your kidneys? Hearing these 3 names will likely surprise many of you, revealing the flaws in your previously taken for granted eating habits. The first is the seemingly perfect combination: tofu and spinach. On Korean dinner tables, mashed tofu with spinach, sesame oil, and minced garlic looks incredibly healthy. At restaurants, we put spinach in our naengmyeon, cold noodles, kimbap, and bibimbap, and at home, we eat spinach with tofu. We firmly believe that vegetables and tofu are good for us and cannot be harmful. However, the story inside our bodies is not so simple. Spinach is a vegetable rich in oxalic acid. Oxalic acid is a natural nutrient found in many vegetables, but spinach is particularly rich in it. Eating a lot of spinach causes some of the oxalic acid to be excreted in the urine, increasing the oxalic acid concentration in the urine. Many studies and medical reports classify spinach as a high oxalic acid food and warn that it can increase urinary oxalic acid levels in certain individuals. On the other hand, tofu is rich in calcium. When urine becomes concentrated due to low water intake or excessive sweating, The oxalic acid and calcium in the urine combine. Initially, they form tiny crystals, which over time aggregate to form oxalic calcium stones, the most common form of kidney stone. According to records from major hospitals, a significant proportion of kidney stones are calcium oxalate, and a high-acid diet is a significant risk factor, especially for those who have a history of kidney stones. Of course, not everyone who eats spinach will develop kidney stones. Those who drink plenty of water, eat a variety of vegetables, and have healthy kidneys can handle the situation. However, those who have had kidney stone surgery have weak kidneys, drink little water, eat salty foods, or eat a limited variety of vegetables, but frequently consume large amounts of spinach and tofu 3 or 4 times a week are at significantly higher risk of recurring stones. A common mistake is to assume that the combination of vegetables and tofu is always good, so they can eat as much as they want. This can be especially dangerous when reducing meat intake leads to increased consumption of spinach and tofu. So, should you completely give up spinach? Not necessarily. Spinach is still nutritious, but moderation is crucial for those with a history of stones or kidney disease. Don't eat too often or in too much, and always remember to drink plenty of water to help your kidneys flush out oxalic acid. Those in the risk group should prioritize low oxalic acid vegetables like cabbage, cucumbers, and zucchini, which many nephrologists recommend. What I want to emphasize is that neither spinach nor tofu is bad. The problem lies in the combination, frequency of consumption, and each individual's kidney condition. If you understand this clearly, you can calmly adjust your eating habits to suit your kidney condition without worry. Now let's look at the second worst combination: tofu, salty kimchi, and salty stews or stews. If you were to ask, what is the soul food on the Korean table? Many would answer without hesitation, kimchi. It's ubiquitous and a staple in every meal. And in many homes, both are almost always served alongside kimchi. Stir-fried tofu, kimchi, fish sauce, and kimchi stew dipped in soy sauce and served with kimchi are all examples. On the surface, this seems like a dream diet, rich in fermented vegetables and plant-based protein and low in fat. But we forget one thing: salt. While kimchi is low in calories, its sodium content is by no means low. According to various sources, 100 servings of kimchi can contain approximately 500 g, 700 milligrams, of sodium, meaning just one small serving can account for 20 to 30% of the daily recommended intake. Add to this kimchi stew, doenjang stew, and dipping sauces, and our bodies are constantly bombarded with salt. Numerous large-scale studies around the world have proven that a long-term salty diet increases blood pressure, and hypertension is a major cause of kidney damage over time. For those with existing kidney disease, excessive salt intake can lead to fluid retention, swelling in the legs and face, difficulty breathing, elevated blood pressure, headaches, and, in the long term, the need for strong phosphate supplements or even hemodialysis. However, in our daily lives, we often reassure ourselves. Many people tell me this: we only eat a small amount of kimchi. We're used to it because it's a staple. We eat tofu, so we don't eat much meat, just a little soy sauce. Our soybean paste stew is incredibly bland, and the whole family can enjoy it without it. However, if you actually record and tally up the amount of salt consumed from all sources, kimchi, soy sauce, soybean paste, fish sauce, and broth, you'll be shocked. Imagine the typical diet of a 65-year-old. On a plate, you might find 2 or 3 pieces of tofu dipped in soy sauce, a small plate of kimchi, and a bowl of salty soybean paste stew, perfect with rice. While a diet focused on vegetables and tofu may seem healthy, the actual sodium intake can easily exceed the recommended daily intake, especially if you also consume other salty foods like bread or processed foods that day. The lesson here is clear. For those over 50, especially those with high blood pressure, diabetes, or kidney disease, reducing sodium intake is as important, if not more important, than choosing healthy foods. Studies on chronic kidney disease emphasize that regulating intake is one of the most fundamental steps in slowing the progression of the disease. This doesn't mean you should completely cut out kimchi. Instead, you need to change your attitude toward kimchi viewing it as a seasoning rather than a main dish. Reduce your daily intake by 50 times to around 110 kilograms, and try not to make everything else on the table salty. You should cook lightly, avoid using too much soy sauce, and reduce the habit of drinking all the broth from your soybean paste stew. These small changes can significantly reduce the daily stress on your kidneys. Now, the third worst combination. This is the third combination. This is the part that most people will be most surprised by. The combination of processed meats like tofu, spam, and sausage. As you know, butajigae is a favorite of both young and old alike. It's made with chips, sausages, ham, ramen, cellophane noodles, kimchi, and tofu. A hot butajigae dish with a few slices looks delicious. Many kimbap and bibimbap also include spam and sausages, and at family gatherings, tofu dishes with bacon or sausage stir-fry are often served. The problem is that processed meats are different from fresh meats. Processed meats contain a lot of salt, various additives, preservatives, nitrites, and, most importantly, inorganic phosphorus, which is rapidly absorbed by the body. Numerous studies have shown that consuming large amounts of these meats over a long period of time increases the risk of chronic kidney disease and its progression to severe cases. Tracking tens of thousands of people across several countries has shown that those who consume high amounts of red and processed meat have significantly higher rates of kidney function decline and end-stage renal disease than those who consume less. Furthermore, kidney organizations warn of the overall dangers of excessively processed foods. These products are rich in energy, salt, sugar, saturated fat, and additives, while lacking fiber and natural vitamins. Recent studies have shown that those who consume more excessively processed foods have a higher risk of developing and progressing chronic kidney disease compared to those who eat primarily fresh, unprocessed foods. Many people comfort themselves by adding tofu to their butajigae, army stew, by thinking that the stew is nutritionally balanced because it includes vegetables and tofu. However, the reality is different. In one pot, we are consuming the following: a large amount of protein from meat, sausage, and spam, plus the vegetable protein from tofu. We are consuming a significant amount of salt from the processed meat itself, the broth, soy sauce, and kimchi. We are also consuming inorganic nitrites and other additives. Your kidneys have to handle all this burden at once. Younger people have strong kidneys and a good compensatory capacity, so there may not be immediate harm. However, for those over 50, especially those with high blood pressure, diabetes, or who have been told their kidneys are weak, a single pot of butajigae is like forcing already exhausted kidneys to run another marathon. Common mistakes here are also commonplace. First, they say, this is a stew shared by the whole family, so how could it be salty? But everyone ends up slurping more broth and reaching the bottom of the pot. Second, they believe expensive processed meats are definitely better, so they don't check the sodium and phosphorus content on the nutrition facts label. Third, they maintain the habit of eating butajigae 8 times a week, despite doctors' warnings to reduce protein and fat intake due to weak kidneys. The lesson is clear. If you have kidney disease, diabetes, or a high blood pressure, it's best to avoid processed meats as much as possible. When protein is needed, prioritize a moderate amount of fresh lean meat or increase the proportion of tofu and vegetables, but cook them lightly without spam or sausage. Even those who are not, yet ill should not consider butajigae or spam kimbap as daily meals. Rather than eating them weekly, they should be treated as special meals enjoyed a few times a month. In short, these 3 familiar combinations, tofu and spinach, tofu and salty foods, and tofu and processed foods, are not poisonous. However, for Koreans over 50, with their rates of high blood pressure, diabetes, and kidney disease on the rise, the way they consume these foods, their frequency, quantity, and preparation can mark the line between tolerable kidney function and kidney failure. At this point, many people may be concerned, asking, is tofu good? Is it bad? Should I eat it or not? Before embarking on a blind fast, we must first understand whether tofu is truly a friend to the kidneys or whether it all depends on how we utilize it. Our bodies obtain protein through 2 main routes. These are meat, fish, and plants. Lean protein sources like beef and pork are high in bad fats, which, when consumed in large quantities, can lead to high cholesterol and difficulty controlling blood pressure. The kidneys must filter out all the waste products produced by these proteins and fats. Conversely, the plant-based protein in tofu is low in saturated fat and free of bad cholesterol, making it much more gentle on the cardiovascular and renal vessels. Therefore, for those who don't already have kidney disease, replacing some of their lean protein with tofu is a very beneficial choice. For those who already have kidney disease, the rules are different. What matters is not whether the protein comes from grains or tofu, but rather the total daily protein intake. Your doctor will calculate how much protein you should consume each day. Within that limit, and with your doctor's permission, it's fine to gradually switch from meat to tofu. Never arbitrarily increase your intake, thinking that plant-based protein is odor-free. Tofu becomes the enemy of the kidneys when we eat too much tofu alongside our regular meat and fish, far exceeding our total protein intake. Or, it's when we constantly eat tofu with salty kimchi or soy-based processed meats, forcing our kidneys to shoulder the burden of both protein and salt. Or, it's when we ignore our doctor's advice and change our diet without consulting a doctor, even if we already have kidney disease. Ultimately, tofu itself isn't harmful to the kidneys. Whether tofu is a friend or foe depends on 4 key factors: how much total protein you consume each day, how much salt you add, how you cook it, steaming or grilling, and your current kidney condition. If you eat it correctly and with proper knowledge, it can be a great ally. However, if you eat it excessively and with the wrong understanding, it can be a source of kidney fatigue. If you take a fair look at tofu, you'll find it's not as scary as many internet rumors suggest. Rather, when consumed properly and at the right time, tofu offers numerous benefits for cardiovascular health, weight management, and bone and joint health, all of which are directly linked to kidney health. Now, let's explore 5 lesser-known benefits of tofu. First, tofu is excellent for cardiovascular health. 5 key benefits of tofu for kidney health. Tofu contains almost no harmful fats in the blood, unlike some fatty meats, and is rich in plant-based compounds that help regulate blood pressure and hyperlipidemia. Stabilizing blood pressure also reduces damage to the microvascular vessels in the kidneys, allowing them to function more easily. Second, tofu aids in weight management. After age 50, even a few kilograms of weight gain can worsen blood sugar, blood pressure, and hyperlipidemia levels. Being overweight is a significant risk factor for diabetes and hypertension, 2 of the most damaging kidney diseases. Tofu is rich in protein but low in calories, helping you feel fuller for longer without overindulging in rice or fatty meats. Third, tofu is also beneficial for bone health. Soybeans contain calcium and bone-strengthening compounds, which help reduce the risk of osteoporosis, falls, and fractures in older adults. Strong bones and joints allow you to move and exercise more easily, which in turn leads to healthier heart and kidneys. Fourth, certain components in soybeans are known to support cerebrovascular health and memory. Maintaining a sharp mind, a steady pace, and normal blood pressure after age 60 is a way to protect your kidneys every day. Finally, both soybeans are inexpensive, readily available, and easy to prepare. This is crucial for those already spending a lot of money on medication. Having a healthy and economical source of protein can ease your mental burden and help you maintain kidney-healthy lifestyle habits for years to come, not just weeks. In theory, both soybeans offer many benefits when used wisely. However, applying them to your daily diet can be difficult. Now, I'd like to suggest 3 ways to eat tofu that suit the Korean palate and are gentle on your kidneys, so you can put them into practice starting tonight. The first is what I call steamed tofu that gives your kidneys a rest. 3 healthy ways to eat tofu for your kidneys. Imagine warm, soft, white tofu steamed, sprinkled with finely chopped green onions, a little minced garlic, and a few drops of fragrant sesame oil, then lightly dipped in low-sodium soy sauce. As a side dish, serve with very lightly blanched cabbage, zucchini, and broccoli. This way, the food is low in fat and very low in salt, which won't cause blood pressure problems and won't strain your kidneys. These vegetables also contain fewer stone-causing ingredients than spinach, making them especially suitable for those with a history of kidney stones or high blood pressure, as long as their doctor approves their consumption. The second method is a lighter version of tofu soup for the kidneys. Instead of your usual salty kimchi stew or soybean paste stew, try adding tofu, pumpkin, radish, mushrooms, and onions, and seasoning them a little more lightly than usual. It might taste bland at first, like water, but after about 2 weeks, your tongue will adjust, and only then will you realize how salty your food used to be. And don't drink all the broth, as most of the salt is in the broth. Simply reducing the amount of broth you drink will significantly reduce the burden on your kidneys. A third method is to strategically replace some of your red meat with tofu. Many older men believe they need a hearty lunch of pork or beef to feel energized. However, numerous studies show that consuming more red and processed meat increases the risk of kidney disease and cardiovascular disease, while those who eat plenty of beans, fish, and whole grains are healthier. So, there's no need to give up meat right away. Reduce your meat intake from 100g to 50g, 70g, and fill the remaining portion with tofu. You can maintain the feeling of eating meat while increasing your intake of plant-based proteins, which are better for your blood vessels and kidneys. These 3 methods aren't grandiose. They're just small adjustments. However, if these small habits are repeated daily, they will protect your kidneys from the pressures of salt, meat, and aging for years to come.